You know an anime is peak when the most popular girl in school keeps roasting a guy in a language she thinks he doesn't understand, while he secretly understands every single word. Now imagine trying to act clueless while your crush calls you cute, an idiot, and her biggest weakness all in Russian. That's the chaotic love battlefield where pride is high, jealousy is everywhere, and one sleepy guy is surviving the most dangerous rom-com situation of his life. And trust me, this story only gets crazier from here. At the start of the story, everyone at school can't stop chatting about Alisa Mikhailovna Kujou. She's stunning and aces every subject, basically the queen of high school. On her first day, a popular guy tries to confess to her, but she totally shuts him down in front of everyone, turning him into the ultimate underdog. Alya doesn't really hang out with friends except for Masachika Kuze, the laid-back guy sitting next to her who's always half asleep. Kuze spends his nights binge-watching random stuff, so he dozes off in class all the time. Alya kicks his chair to wake him up and teases him for forgetting his books, yet she's there to help him when the teachers call on him. One time, she confidently gives him an answer that ends up being wrong, and she quickly stands up to correct herself. When he asks her about it later, she switches to Russian and throws some playful insults his way. At least that's what she claims. Truth is, she actually thinks he's cute. Here's the twist. Kuze actually understands Russian perfectly. He learned it from a Russian girl he used to know as a kid, someone he hasn't seen in years. He keeps this skill under wraps though, because if Alya finds out, it would be super embarrassing for both of them. Kuze is working hard for a moon goddess-themed prize because he's a fan of the silver-haired character. Alya returns his phone and casually mentions in Russian that her hair is silver too, and wonders why he doesn't look at her the same way. When he asks what she said, she just calls him a loser. Seriously, it feels like he's living in a rom-com minefield. Then we meet Yuki Suho and Alya's sister, Masha. Masha is also drop-dead gorgeous and constantly turns down guys, claiming she's already taken. Yuki has rejected even more confessions than Alya does. Yuki and Kuze seem pretty close, which doesn't sit well with Alya. Yuki reveals they go way back to middle school when she was the student council president, and Kuze stepped in as vice president because she begged him to help out. After school, Alya playfully calls herself Kuze's female friend and walks away with a smile. One morning, Kuze shows up early to clean the classroom, and Alya shows up with muddy socks. In full-on teasing mode, she orders him to grab a fresh pair from her locker and put them on her. He's pretty proud, so he actually tries, but then she panics, kicks him right in the face, and spends the rest of the day sulking. Eventually, they both apologize, and Kuze jokes about the kick giving him a great view, which turns her bright red. She punches him, curses in Russian, and takes off. To make it up, he offers her favorite drink and even suggests sharing it. Kuze freaks out internally because that would basically be an indirect kiss. He wants to say yes so badly, but keeps pretending he doesn't get her Russian teasing. Alya thinks he's completely clueless, while he's actually catching every word. The next day, Kuze helps Yuki clean out the student council storage room. Alya joins them but starts feeling left out since Kuze keeps chatting with Yuki. She mutters in Russian, wondering why he won't pay her any attention. He has to act clueless again, and honestly, it's getting pretty draining. Then Tuya Kanzaki, the student council president, pops in and invites them to dinner. During the meal, Yuki drops the news that she plans to run for the next student council election and wants Kuze as her vice president. He tells her that she's popular enough to win by herself, but then she reveals that her opponent is Alya. That really shocks him since being president means managing the whole school, and Alya hardly talks to anyone. After dinner, Kuze walks Alya home and heads back to his place, only to find Yuki already there. Surprise! Yuki is actually his younger sister. They don't live together, but she's staying over for some shopping later. She even thinks the childhood friend story they tell at school isn't a total lie. The next day, Kuze and Yuki hit the movies. Yuki wants to see it again right after, but he reminds her they still need to go shopping. While they're walking around, Yuki casually points out that a certain silver-haired girl has been staring at them for a bit. Kuze pretends not to notice, but it's obviously Alya, and she's been following them. Yuki goes straight over and invites her to lunch. Alya awkwardly claims she's just nearby, and both of them know that's a lame excuse. They choose this restaurant with hell in the name because Alya won't let Yuki pick the place. The food is basically all chili, and Yuki jokes that eating there feels like chewing on needles. Alya, who's not used to Japanese spice levels, orders the least spicy dish, which is still crazy hot. She forces herself to eat it while internally screaming in Russian for help. Kuze totally gets every word. He gently suggests she doesn't have to finish it, but her pride won't let her give in. Then Yuki offers this dangerous-sounding sauce called devil tears. Kuze tries to stop it, but Alya won't quit. One drop in, and it's like her soul leaves her body. Later at the park, Yuki leaves them alone for a bit. Alya finally asks Kuze why he thinks she wants to run for president. He points out that she'll need a solid vice president. She insists she doesn't need anyone, but in Russian, she quietly admits she wishes it could be him by her side. Then comes shopping. Alya asks Kuze to help her pick out clothes, and he immediately panics, worried people will think they're dating. But then he realizes she has no one else to ask. While she's trying on outfits, Alya starts overthinking everything and worries he might not give her a compliment. She steps out in a dress and he unloads this huge compliment about how cute and elegant she looks. She freezes, goes back into the fitting room, and just sits on the floor while trying to wrap her head around it. She tries on cooler, more stylish stuff, and he praises those too. Her confidence starts to grow. Finally, she puts on something a little revealing. She hesitates, but reminds herself that he wouldn't judge her. She steps out feeling confident, only to realize Yuki has come back and seen everything, making Alya wish she could just vanish. On the train ride home, Alya keeps replaying that moment in her head. She also notices that Yuki and Kuze get off at the same station, even though they say they live separately. Quick pause. If you love anime stories like this, subscribe and like the video. Now, let's continue. At home, Alya's older sister Masha can totally tell something's off. Alya tries to play it cool, but Masha sees right through her. When Alya finally spills that she met one of Kuze's childhood friends, Masha smirks and says it sounds like Alya might have a crush on that guy. Alya quickly shuts it down, insisting that Kuze is just her friend. We flash back to Alya's childhood in Russia. During a group project, she's working her butt off, while her teammates are slacking and making fun of her for being so serious. Since it's a group grade, she ends up getting a bad score, even though she did all the work. That moment really hits her hard. She decides that depending on others is just going to let her down. So from then on, she figures it's better to handle everything on her own. Fast forward to middle school in Japan. Right away, her smarts and language skills wow everyone. Everyone seems to admire her, except for one guy who can't stop dozing off in class, Masachika Kuze. She just can't wrap her head around how someone so lazy gets into such a good school. She can't stand people like that, and it gets repetitive during a school festival. Once again, Alya takes on all the work for her class while everyone else just goofs off. She's up late sewing costumes and ends up pushing herself way too hard, leaving her hands a mess with little cuts from overdoing it. That's when Kuze steps in. He tells her to chill and go home because the handicraft club will help finish the costumes. He even got permission for them to stay late at school. Alya is totally taken aback. When she asks how he pulled that off, he says he got help from the student council president. Kuze tells her she doesn't have to do everything on her own. His words hit her right where it hurts. She fights back a bit, saying she just wants everything to be perfect, but no one else seems to care as much as she does. She kind of admits it might be her ego talking, but she's still left wondering if it's wrong to put in so much effort. Kuze calmly tells her she's focusing her efforts in the wrong spot. He says the point of the festival isn't about one person wearing themselves out to make everything flawless. The real deal is about the whole class coming together to create something awesome. Instead of going solo, she should get her classmates involved and make it a team effort. For once, Alya's left speechless. She quietly walks away, trying to figure out what's so special about this guy. When the next day rolls around, something unexpected happens. Kuze's advice actually works. Her classmates stick around, help design costumes, and get involved in planning the presentation. For the first time, Alya isn't shouldering the whole load alone. The class comes together, and it pays off when they snag the festival's attraction award. Alya feels genuinely happy. After the festival, everyone's celebrating with music and dancing. Everyone gets in on the fun except Alya, who sits off to the side just watching. Kuze comes over and asks why she's not dancing. He jokingly wonders if she just doesn't know how to dance. Alya immediately shoots that down, saying she's just not in the mood for something that childish. Kuze sees right through Alya's excuse and figures she probably skipped out because it would feel awkward. Alya insists that's not it. She just doesn't want to dance with those guys. Then Kuze casually drops that the school's famous ice princess wouldn't usually do that anyway. That nickname catches Alya off guard. Kuze explains that a lot of students call her that, and it's meant to be a compliment. Alya definitely doesn't see it that way. She explains that she comes from a respected family and has been considered beautiful since she was little. Because of that, people always focus on her looks. They call her a princess, rave about her elegance, and admire her beauty, but hardly anyone acknowledges her smarts or hard work. Whenever someone calls her a princess, it feels like they ignore all the effort she puts into everything. That's what frustrates her about the nickname. After that little rant, Alya apologizes to Kuze. Last time they argued, she kind of snapped at him, even when he was just trying to help. To make up for it, she says he can ask her for any favor. Kuze jumps on that chance right away. He asks if he can call her by a nickname. Since Alya is already the most popular girl in school, if he's the only guy casually calling her that, other boys will think he's tight with her, which would boost his social game. Just then, 3 guys walk up and ask Alya to dance. Before she can say anything, Kuze takes her hand and pulls her away while apologizing to the guys. For Alya, everything feels surreal, and her heart starts racing. Back in the present, Alya wraps up her story for Masha. Masha laughs and says it sounds like the start of a love story. Alya shuts that idea down right away, insisting Kuze is just a good friend who gets her problems. Masha gives her this knowing smile and says that's how most love stories kick off. Then she starts sharing her own story about a boy who once saved her from a dog, which made them really close. Alya quickly cuts her off because she isn't in the mood to hear about her sister's love life. The next day, Kuze swings by the student council room. Yuki was supposed to go shopping with Masha, but couldn't make it, so she sends Kuze instead. When he shows up, Masha welcomes him with a smile and says if he's Alya's friend, he's her friend too. She asks him to call her Masha instead of Maria. When she grabs his hand, something weird happens. Masha suddenly feels this strange familiarity, like she found something she lost ages ago. She quietly asks for his full name, and when he tells her it's Masachika Kuze, her eyes widen in surprise. She quickly lets go of his hand and awkwardly suggests they start shopping. During their outing, Masha acts really playful, getting way more excited about cute plush toys than anything practical. She spots a cat plush that reminds her of Alya. Kuze initially hesitates to buy it, thinking the student council president wouldn't want all those toys cluttering the room. But Masha insists, and they end up getting it anyway. Later, they stop at a tea shop. Masha asks for his recommendations, but he admits he knows next to nothing about tea. He thinks to himself that Yuki would have been way better at this since their mom taught her a lot. Thinking about his mom brings back some painful memories. When he was a kid, his parents divorced. Kuze chose to live with his dad, while Yuki stayed with their mom. That separation made things awkward between them, which is why almost no one at school even knows their siblings. They even use different last names. Masha notices he looks a bit down and gives him a gentle hug. For Kuze, that feels oddly nostalgic, but the sweet moment is cut short when Masha accidentally spills tea on him. After finishing their shopping, they head back to the student council room. Kanzaki thanks Kuze for bringing the supplies and jokes that if Masha had gone alone, the place would probably be filled with random decorations by now. Then he hits Kuze with a big question. Would he ever think about joining the student council? Kuze immediately shuts it down, saying he's not worthy of that position. Back in middle school, he only became vice president because Yuki practically twisted his arm. Kanzaki shows Kuze an old photo of himself from 9th grade. He used to be overweight, struggling with school, and was basically seen as a loser. But he changed himself completely for a girl he liked because he wanted to be someone worth looking at. Kuze jokingly assumes that girl must be Kanzaki's girlfriend, who is also the current vice president. Kanzaki laughs and explains that things don't always go like that. Sometimes people join groups just to support someone important to them. He casually mentions that Yuki is also running for the council. If Kuze decides to, he could back her up. Kuze says he'll think about it. That's when he notices Alya is missing in action. Kanzaki explains she went to sort out a fight between the soccer and baseball clubs. Both teams want the school field, and things are getting heated. Kuze figures he should check it out. When he arrives, Alya is struggling to mediate between the teams. She suggests the baseball club use a different field near the river, but they refuse because moving their gear would be too much hassle. The captains are calm, but the rest are arguing and not listening. Alya starts to feel overwhelmed. Deep down, she thinks people won't cooperate because she's always kept a distance. In Russian, she quietly asks for help while trying not to cry. Outside the room, Kuze hears everything. At first, he thinks about leaving it alone, but when he hears her whispering for help in Russian, he can't just stand by. He walks in and dramatically introduces himself as the new General Affairs Officer of the Student Council. He pitches the same idea Alya had but adds a catch. If the baseball team moves their stuff to the river field, the soccer team will help carry it every time. At first, the soccer team is against it, but then their manager suddenly backs the plan and says the girls can help with the gear. With that deal, both teams come on board. Later, Alya asks Kuze how he knew the soccer manager would agree so easily. Kuze explains that he noticed the baseball captain and the soccer manager are secretly dating. If they cooperate, the couple gets more time together while moving the equipment. In other words, he creates a win-win situation for everyone. What Alya doesn't realize is that Kanzaki secretly set up the whole thing. He intentionally put her in a conflict she couldn't handle alone, knowing Kuze would step in. While walking home, Kuze throws out a surprising question. If he joins the student council, would she step back from the election? Alya quickly shuts that down. She insists she won't back down, no matter who her opponent is. Hearing that, Kuze promises to do everything he can to help her become the next student council president. His words hit Alya harder than he expected. She takes his hand and whispers something in Russian. When Kuze hears it, his heart nearly stops. It reminds him of his childhood friend. For a moment, he gets lost in that memory. Then Alya suddenly squeezes his hand tightly and, thinking he's daydreaming about another girl, slaps him across the face because she believes he's thinking about Yuki. When he complains about his left cheek, Alya quickly kisses his right cheek. But Kuze can't shake off what she whispered earlier, because what she actually said in Russian is that she likes him. She gets super embarrassed about it. She tells herself he's just a good friend who helps her out and understands her better than anyone else. Meanwhile, Masha gets home and notices something's off. When Alya asks what's wrong, Masha just smiles and says everything's fine. Still, she gives Alya a little advice. If Kuze is just a friend, that's cool, but if she really likes him, she should tell him before it's too late. Kuze heads home feeling a bit embarrassed about what he said earlier. His mind starts to wander back to his childhood. His parents fought a lot when he was little, and they eventually ended up divorcing. Because of all that, he's grown up thinking that love doesn't last. When he gets home, he spots Yuki's shoes by the door, which means she's staying over again. As soon as he steps inside, he accidentally walks in while she's changing. She screams and calls him shameless, and he fires back that she did it on purpose. Later, while they're chilling together, he tells her he's going to support Alya in the election. She goes all dramatic, saying some witch has taken her brother away. He tells her to chill out while he's combing her hair and apologizing. Then, out of nowhere, she laughs and says competing against him actually sounds like fun. She confidently claims she knows he loves her the most anyway, and he agrees without missing a beat. The next morning, he wakes up feeling great since she didn't bother him during the night. But as soon as he gets out of bed, something grabs his leg. It's Yuki, who's been hiding under the bed this whole time. She swears she's not the type to cry over what happened yesterday, but she ends up stuck and starts complaining. At school, Alya is secretly waiting for him. When he finally shows up, she can't help but stare and wonders why he looks so good today. She quickly scolds herself for thinking that way. He's actually paying attention in class instead of zoning out like he usually does, making her wonder if he's trying to impress her. But the truth is much simpler. He just slept well. When she realizes this, her face goes red because she spent the whole night thinking about him while he was sleeping soundly. Later, he heads to the student council room and freaks out a little when he sees a girl waiting for him holding a stick. She quickly apologizes and introduces herself as Chisaki, the vice president. Soon, Masha and Yuki show up too, and he makes sure to introduce himself properly. The president mentions that since Kuze used to be a vice president in middle school, he should have no problem fitting in with the student council. Meanwhile, Yuki takes Alya into an empty classroom and tells her she already knows Kuze is backing her up. Alya was planning to share that news herself, but is annoyed to find out Yuki heard about it the night before from Kuze. This bugs her since it means Yuki was at his place again. Summoning her courage, Alya almost asks if Yuki has feelings for him. Before she can finish, Yuki casually states that she loves Kuze more than anyone else. Alya freezes, totally clueless that they're actually siblings. When Yuki flips the question back to her, Alya quickly denies liking him, insisting they're just friends. But she makes it clear he'll never belong to Yuki because he's hers. Yuki just smiles and tells her to prove it. On another note, Kuze is helping Masha with student council stuff and notices how hardworking she is. When she makes tea, she opts for black tea, which surprises him since it's more of a winter drink in Russian culture. She asks how he knows that, and he casually mentions that he used to watch Russian movies as a kid. The real reason? He's still hung up on a childhood friend. Later, Alya sits super close to him. Ever since Yuki admitted her feelings, Alya's been in full jealousy mode. Kuze is puzzled by how close they're sitting, but she brushes it off, claiming girls shouldn't sit on the edge of the table because it's bad luck. Kuze suggests stopping by a restaurant to discuss the election. Alya secretly hopes it's a date, but it quickly turns into strategy talk, which annoys her. She playfully feeds him ice cream with her spoon, and he hesitantly goes along with it. Before they know it, they find themselves staring at the spoon like it's a big deal. Alya starts teasing him about how dramatic he is over one spoon, joking that he must be used to sharing with girls. Then she mutters in Russian that it really isn't common at all, and she's only ever shared spoons with him. Disaster hits when a spicy dish arrives. She can't refuse it, or he'll tease her, so she bravely takes a bite. It's painful, and she struggles to keep a straight face. face. After that tough meal, they finally leave the restaurant. As they walk, Alya asks him about Yuki and who's backing her in the council election. Kuze tells her not to stress because Taniyama is on Yuki's side. He recounts how Taniyama once gave Yuki a tough challenge back in middle school. The next day, Yuki reveals who her partner is, and Kuze doesn't look too thrilled about it. Later on, while Kuze is walking by himself, Ayano Kimishima pops up behind him. She gives him a respectful bow, which makes sense since she used to be his maid before she switched over to being Yuki's maid. Ayano warns him that the head of the family is really angry with him because by supporting Alya, he's basically going against Yuki, and the family sees that as a huge betrayal. After their parents divorced, he decided to live with his dad, and because of that, his grandfather told him he can't treat Yuki like a sister anymore and has to keep their sibling bond a secret from everyone. Ayano gets serious with him, saying she always thought he would never hurt Yuki and wonders if she might be wrong. He calmly replies that he's not trying to hurt Yuki at all, he just wants to back Alya up. She then asks if Yuki still matters to him, and he quickly confirms that she's still the most important person in his life. That makes Ayano feel better, and she promises to keep looking out for Yuki. Back at school, he's chilling with his friends when one of them brings out a magazine filled with idols and asks everyone to pick their favorite girl. Kuze casually picks one, but his friend Hikaru Takashi points out that she looks a lot like Masha. Kuze squints at the picture and admits there's a resemblance. He reminds them that Masha is already with someone, though. Takashi jokingly wonders what he'd do if Masha were single, and Kuze says he's never thought about her like that. Just then, Alya appears out of nowhere and scolds him for looking at magazines in school. He quickly shifts the blame to Takashi, and the conversation keeps going. Then his friends ask if he'd ever think about dating Yuki, and Kuze says he'd rather date someone he can actually be friends with. He adds, he's into girls who have bright smiles. That hits Alya hard. The guys keep chatting about how girls who don't smile seem cold and unapproachable, and Alya, feeling embarrassed and annoyed, suddenly stands up and snaps at them. She yanks the magazine out of their hands and storms off. Meanwhile, Ayano fills Yuki in on everything. She tells Yuki that Kuze won't back down and even says their grandfather can talk to him directly if he's got a problem. Ayano also mentions that he still cares a lot about Yuki, which makes her super happy. She rushes to the window, almost shouting with excitement. She convinces herself that he only supports Alya because he thinks Alya can't handle Yuki on her own. So this fight isn't just about Alya versus Yuki, it's also about her and her big brother. Later, everyone's gathered to play cards. Alya is totally struggling during the game. While everyone's hanging out, Ayano quietly shows up again to serve drinks. Someone asks how she ended up being Yuki's maid, and she explains that her grandparents worked for the Suo family, so she just followed the same path and started being a maid in 2nd grade. Once everyone's done with their drinks, Kuze and Masha go to grab more. On the way, she thanks him for standing by Alya, saying no one's ever really supported her before. He wonders if she acts serious on purpose. Masha gives him a gentle pat on the head and tells him everything will work itself out. He feels flustered, amazed at how easily she breaks down his walls. At the same time, Alya runs into Taniyama, who angrily accuses her of using underhanded tactics to steal Kuze away from Yuki and says she doesn't deserve to be student council president. As their argument heats up, Kuze shows up to defend Alya. Taniyama quickly turns her anger toward him and challenges him to a debate. Before he can say anything, Alya steps up and declares that if Taniyama wants a debate, she's ready to take her on first. By the way, if you're enjoying this recap, subscribe for more anime stories and tell me your favorite anime in the comments. Now back to the story. The debate topic is whether student council members should be picked by the president or the teachers. Everyone knows Taniyama chose this topic because teachers wouldn't pick weak or problematic students. Alya and Kuze start prepping together. She asks why Taniyama seems so bitter toward him. He explains there's no real rivalry. They used to get along and respect each other. Taniyama probably feels angry because he stopped backing Yuki and decided to support Alya instead. This makes Alya feel guilty for causing issues, but she promises she'll win the debate. Later, they meet Taniyama's partner, Nonoa Miyamai, who casually says she won't do anything during the debate. When the debate kicks off, everyone already thinks Alya's going to lose. She suddenly gets super nervous. Seeing this, Kuze throws out a random, ridiculous question about her cup size. She's shocked and annoyed, but that's exactly what he wants. By distracting her, he helps her shake off the nerves. Once she calms down, she realizes she's not panicking anymore. Taniyama speaks confidently, arguing that teachers should pick council members since they're experienced and know how to select responsible students. Her argument sounds solid, and even Kuze admits it's a strong one. Now focused, Alya jumps in with her points. She explains that students vote for the president and vice president, which means the student body trusts their leadership. If teachers take away the power to choose council members, it'll undermine that trust and weaken the authority of the elected leaders. People in the audience start to agree with her, but Taniyama counters, saying that if presidents can freely choose members, some incompetent students might slip in. Alya shoots back that this has never been a problem before, so there's no reason to change how things are done now. Suddenly, a bunch of people in the audience start insulting Alya. Some mock her for being a foreigner and say she knows nothing. Kuze quickly figures out what's going on. Miyamai must have planted people in the audience to tear down Alya and shake her confidence. The plan works. Alya gets overwhelmed by the insults, and her mind starts going blank. Then Kuze steps up and takes over the debate, claiming Alya's throat is sore from talking too much. He continues the argument using Takeshi Kanzaki as an example. Once thought useless by teachers, the student council gave him a shot, and now everyone respects him. Kuze explains that the purpose of the student council is to give students chances to grow. If teachers control everything, they'll only choose perfect students and never let anyone else improve. The audience finds his argument really powerful. Taniyama can't respond, and feeling overwhelmed, dashes out of the room in tears. Since her partner also leaves, the debate wraps up, and Alya and Kuze win. Alya follows Taniyama outside. She admits she actually admired the partnership between Yuki and Kuze. Even though she felt jealous, she respected them and thought no one could take down that duo. That's why she pulled out of the election before. But when she saw Kuze backing Alya instead of Yuki, she felt betrayed. Her frustration made her lash out during the debate. After she cools down, Taniyama realizes it's not Alya's fault and apologizes. Alya promises to prove she deserves Kuze's support. Later, she tells him she's going to work harder to show he made the right choice. Kuze admits he supported Yuki in middle school because he couldn't say no to her request. This time, he's choosing Alya because he genuinely wants to help her. When he asks why she chose him, Alya just smiles and answers in Russian that it's simply because he's him. At home, Yuki's grandpa brings up the debate, warning her that Kuze's been getting a lot of attention since his big moment, but she can't let him win. Fast forward 2 weeks, and the whole school is still buzzing about it. Alya feels weird hearing people trash Taniyama because she never wanted to put him down like that. While she's chatting with Kuze, he suddenly spots someone hiding under the table. It's Kanzaki and Chisaki, eavesdropping like it's a reality show, which makes Alya super embarrassed. Later, Kuze hooks up with Miyamae and talks her into spilling the beans about the audience sabotage, so Taniyama can get his rep back on track. Just when things seem to cool down, Alya walks in and finds Kuze hanging out with Yuki and Ayano in a room. Instantly suspicious, she can't help but throw some shade about 3 childhood friends just chilling, and storms off, clearly annoyed. Later on, Alya and Kuze hit the books, but it's awkward since she's still mad. Then Yuki and Ayano come in and ask to join. Alya says sure, but under her breath in Russian, she wishes she could have some alone time with Kuze. Masha shows up with this book on hypnosis and begs Alya to give it a shot. Alya's hesitant at first because she's not into that stuff, but Masha keeps pushing until Kuze finally caves. He follows the steps in the book, gets Masha to focus on his finger, and then claps his hands. To everyone's surprise, Masha just drops down. Alya thinks she's just playing around. The book says he has to tap her shoulder to wake her, so Kuze does that. Masha wakes up right away but claims she doesn't remember anything. Curious now, Yuki suggests they try hypnosis on Alya next. They go through the same process, and somehow both Alya and Masha end up hypnotized. Yuki can't resist her mischievous side and starts giving them ridiculous commands. Suddenly, Alya starts taking off her clothes, which freaks Kuze out. He tries to wake her up, but nothing works. Just then, Chisaki walks in and sees the whole mess. After she hears what's going on, she knocks both girls out with karate chops to bring the chaos to a halt. A few days later, exams are coming up, and Kuze is really struggling to stay focused. He remembers how easy studying used to be, but now it feels like a huge mountain to climb. Just when he's lost in thought, Alya calls him up late at night. He teases her, joking about how she must have missed his voice. But then she hits him with a casual reply in Russian, and he nearly falls off his chair in shock. Kuze confesses he can't concentrate on studying, so Alya proposes a bet. If he makes it into the top 30, she'll grant him any wish. But if he doesn't, he'll owe her a favor. While they chat, Kuze jokingly calls himself her older brother. Alya gets all confused because they're the same age. He has to remind her that his birthday is April 19th and hers is November 7th, so technically he's older. She quietly goes along with it and ends the call, but the real reason she called was that she was watching a horror movie and got scared. 5 days after the exams, Kuze notices Alya has stopped teasing him in Russian completely, and it feels weird. He asks her why, and she finally spills the truth. In Russia, not inviting someone to your birthday means you don't see them as a close friend. which is why she's been upset. Kuze quickly reassures her that he didn't even have a party this year. Still, he's totally up for celebrating her birthday, even if it's 3 months late. The next day, they meet up outside, and everyone can't help but stare at Alya because she looks amazing. Kuze asks if guys are always chasing after her. She usually just switches to Russian until they give up. As they walk together, Alya jokingly says Kuze is acting all possessive like a boyfriend. He replies casually that since they're alone, it's not weird to act like one. Suddenly, she realizes this is basically a date and quietly admits in Russian that it's her first one. Kuze is shocked that a girl like her hasn't dated anyone. They head to a restaurant and Kuze fills her in on the upcoming student council debate against Yuki. This time, they're changing things up. Both candidates present their ideas, and whoever gets the loudest applause wins. Kuze admits that beating Yuki will be a serious challenge. Alya thanks him softly for having her back, and he blushes. She laughs, saying he looks cute when he does that, and even feeds him with her spoon, leaving him totally flustered. Then she surprises him with a gift, a couple's cup set, and mentions she has the matching one too. Kuze gets nervous as he notices she's being more open about her feelings instead of hiding behind Russian. Later at school, there's a parents' meeting. Kuze sees Masha avoiding his gaze, probably because of that hypnosis incident. When he apologizes, she tells him it wasn't his fault and admits she's just a bit embarrassed. After that, he bumps into Yuki, who jokingly complains that he's been ignoring his little sister since Alya showed up. Then, Kuze's grandfather arrives, dressed like a mafia boss because he's been watching too many movies. When Alya and her mom get there, he gets really excited about seeing a foreigner, and even grabs Alya's hand, asking if she's going to be his granddaughter someday. Alya's mom teases her too, asking if she plans to marry Kuze. Alya dodges the question without saying no, which is kind of telling. After the meeting wraps up, Kuze runs into Yuki's mom, and seeing her brings back some uncomfortable memories from his past. Kuze's background finally comes into focus, shedding light on his behavior. Turns out he's never been lazy. He's actually pretty great at everything. School, sports, even playing piano. No matter how hard he tries though, his mom is never satisfied. He pushes himself daily, just hoping to get a little praise, but all he hears is criticism. Then one day, while he's practicing the piano, she scolds him one too many times, and that's when he completely breaks down. Fast forward to the present, and Kuze wakes up feeling sick. While he's resting at home, there's a knock at the door, and it's Alya. She says Yuki sent her to look after him and even brought some medicine. Kuze thanks her but tells her to head home. Alya just won't take no for an answer, insisting on staying. Kuze's mind immediately jumps to blaming Yuki for this awkward situation. Then Alya comes clean. Yuki didn't say anything. She just wanted to come over. She even finds some recipes online and whips up a surprisingly tasty meal for him. While cooking, she notices he's still using the cup she gave him, which totally lights her up inside. Kuze compliments the meal but still tries to get her to leave. Alya shuts that idea down and says she'll just study in the living room. Later, Ayano shows up to take care of Kuze too. Alya is clearly not thrilled about how close Ayano is getting and tells her to back off. Ayano, all calm, says that's her job as his servant. Alya points out that Ayano works for Yuki, not him. Ayano quickly changes her tune, saying Yuki ordered her to help. Eventually, Alya leaves, and Ayano sticks around. She cooks, helps with his medicine, and even offers to help him bathe or sleep next to him if he needs it. Kuze firmly declines and says he wants her to sleep in another room, which she agrees to. The next day, Kuze wakes up late and senses something isn't right. He checks the medicine Alya brought and realizes it has sleeping pills in it. Everything clicks. This was Yuki's plan to keep him out of school for the debate broadcast. Ayano apologizes for hiding it, but Kuze bolts to school. When he gets there, Alya looks totally defeated. Earlier during the broadcast, Yuki opened up about her emotional reason for wanting to be student council president. She shared that her older brother, who everyone thought would do amazing things, had passed away, and she wants the position to honor him. Then she asks Alya why she wants it. Alya can't answer in that moment, which leaves her feeling like her reason isn't good enough. Kuze steps in to stop her from blaming herself. He tells her that just because someone else has a bigger reason doesn't make hers any less valid. Hearing that helps Alya regain her confidence, and she decides she's not going to back down from the election. When the speeches kick off, Yuki goes first and totally wows everyone with her promises for new school events and improvements, getting a huge round of applause. Then it's Alya's turn, and out of the blue, she starts speaking in Russian. The crowd is confused at first, but ends up laughing and loosening up. Turns out this was Kuze's idea to break the ice before she gets into her real speech. Instead of making big promises like Yuki, Alya keeps it real. She admits she's not perfect but vows to work hard. She even says she'll step down if she ever feels like she's not cutting it. Her honesty surprises everyone and earns her a ton of respect. Next up is Kuze, who announces that even though he used to back Yuki, he's now all in for Alya because she's genuinely honest. Then, to everyone's shock, former rival Taniyama and her friend Miyamai jump in to support Alya too. This completely shifts the crowd's vibe, and the applause gets way louder than Yuki's. Alya totally wins this round. Later, when the exam results come out, Kuze realizes he didn't make it into the top 30, which means he lost the bet to Alya. Now he has to fulfill one of her wishes. Trying to play it cool, he tells her that since he supported her in front of everyone, she should start calling him by his first name. Alya gives it a shot, but both of them get super awkward because using first names in Japan usually means you're really close. Soon after, summer vacation rolls around, and Kuze suggests they keep meeting during the break to plan strategies against Yuki for next year, and Alya happily agrees. And that's the end of the story. If you enjoyed this anime recap, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more anime stories like this. See you in the next recap.